freedom of speech didn't stop Cap from getting sidelined, but it actually helped one racist teacher keep his job. Indiana University professor Eric Rasmussen is offending a lot of people, myself included, with his racist, sexist, and homophobic tweets. But university officials can't fire him because his tweets are protected by the First Amendment. Rasmussen, who's been at the school since 1992, posted comments on how black students are unqualified to attend elite universities, and the business professor is doubling down on his remarks. Here's his response.
If they're offended, that's their problem, basically. I'm willing to listen to arguments about why they disagree with me, but just saying I'm offended doesn't really impress me.
So this is a terrible look for Indiana University. Since they can't fire him, how can they ensure that students' grades are not affected by this professor's views?
First of all, Indiana has a high Republican population, so I don't think this comes as a surprise in that context. But in terms of this professor, I know that he was not fired because they gave an excuse along the lines of if he's not putting those politics into praxis in the classroom, then essentially it's not discrimination.
But they condemned his comments, though, to be fair.
They condemned his comments, but is that fair? Because he still has a job.
Right, because he's protected by the First Amendment.
Yeah.
So legally, they cannot fire him.
Mm-hmm. And they can't really take him to task on anything, or rather, they're not willing to, because they haven't. It's one thing to condemn for a public statement. It's another to have any type of real repercussions. I know they took some actions with the students being able to anonymously submit classwork.
The double-blind grading.
Yeah, but I don't know how far.
You don't think that's enough?
No, because at the end of the day, what if students feel like they are not operating in a toxic classroom space because they know that their professor hosts these certain political views on his private accounts, and that contributes to the type of work that they're able to do, that contributes to how they operate and function on the university campus, if they feel like this is happening under the institution's watch. You get what I'm saying? So all this is pretty arbitrary. Just because it's not black and white, they can't do anything, doesn't mean it's not gonna have any tangible effects on students' performance. And is there a camera in the classroom every time this professor is teaching? You know, it doesn't mean he's not putting certain things into practice. There's no way to check and balance that. So
maybe the students have the power here. So maybe no one should enroll in his class. Would that do the trick?
Yeah, I feel like with someone with a mind state like that and a point of view like that, you don't want to even have him in the classroom.
You don't think he's fit to teach?
I don't think he's fit to teach, period. It's like, you know, it's like an old-fashioned mentality, like you said, Indiana, Republican, and it's just like, nah, it's a new time. It's like, if that organization that he works for doesn't like do anything about it, that kind of shows how they think as well. And I feel like we're in a new day, and you can't have anybody with that mind state teaching youth.
But what if this were a black professor? Would it be seen differently?
Yes, I actually support this gentleman, right? He's an idiot.
The white professor.
Yeah, I do.
Tell me why.
I support his freedom of speech, right? I support, his views are obviously trash, right? This dude's an idiot, and he's scary because he's an educated idiot. But just like you said, there are pro-black teachers, or professors rather, who come in and who have very strong points of views. There has to be some protection, right, of different opinions. For example, for me, comedians are the last line of defense, right? In this era that we live in this ultra-sensitive era, comedians should have the license to say things that we may or may not agree with. And I think college professors should also have the same thing. Do I agree with the things he said? This dude's an idiot. The things he said that there are more men geniuses than women. How do you even quantify that, right? The things that he said gay people shouldn't be allowed in academia. He said a whole bunch of things that are moronic, right?
But you're defending his right to say it.
I'm defending his right to say it. In a collegiate, especially with college kids, I think that there has to be a safe space for people to be able to say things that we may not agree with.
Are you defending his right to teach?
I am. Now, I wouldn't take his course, but as the sister just said, he's in Indiana, so I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot of MAGA hats in his class. I wouldn't take it, but How many people are going to be like him who take an African American studies class that talk about Marcus Garvey, that talk about black people in a certain space? If they have to take that class, then again, I'm not defending his actual statements, but his freedom of speech to be allowed to say that. And he isn't the first racist professor, and he won't be the last racist professor. We have racist teachers from kindergarten all the way up until master's programs. And that's why I implore so many more black people to get into education, because we have to have more diversity and more inclusion in schools teaching our youth. But to this actual point, I don't agree with his statement, but him being able to be free to say it, it is what it is.
Well, Rasmussen continues to defend his comments, but hopefully the university finds a way to get rid of him soon. You just watched a clip from the show that covers the culture like no other. For every episode, I assemble a panel of thinkers, activists, celebs, and outspoken experts to give us their unfiltered opinions on the topics that matter to Black America. This is elevated, intelligent, and uncensored discussion, representing every perspective. The conversations we have when we're the only ones in the room. No topic is off limits. We're not afraid to go there, and we do it all live 5 days a week. Join me here every weekday at 4 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media at twitter.com/Marlie Show. It's The Marlie Show. There's nothing else like it.